I think the idea is if it's not a real game, at least it could be a mechanic for a game. But
Sure, no, why? It's pointless. Just don't use it then. Don't touch it, put it on your shelf, and leave it there.
That's what most people did with Candyland. I guess that's something. I came across an interesting question on the Everything app, and I thought that I would bring it to your attention.
Was it about everything?
It was about everything. Yes.
Perfect.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. A movie I'm sure you have not seen. Oh, you saw it?
No, I did.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay, good.
It was weird.
Yeah, sure was. I think that should have been... The name of that movie really should have been Weird, the movie.
I think the best part was when there were rocks.
The rocks were great. The hot dog fingers, also pretty amazing.
That was a bit weird.
It was odd. I was like, I can't believe that they did that. Anyway, the point is, we're not talking about that. An interesting post that I think has a few things to dissect, and I'll just read it to you. Candyland isn't a game because you don't make choices. It has the trappings of a game to teach children how to take turns, etc. But, wait, can you use Candyland as a resolution mechanic? You succeed on a red, green, purple, you crit fail on a dot space, crit succeed on a shortcut. This is the question that is being posed. Now, the thing is, the first part of this that I kind of want to get into is the assertion at the very beginning that Candyland isn't a game. I don't know if that's a correct assertion, because it is a game, it's just... it's
the
just...
reasoning they give for their assertion is bad.
Yes.
Because not all games require you make choices. Some are very linear experiences.
Yes.
And not only that, I don't think I've played Candyland in a while. Do you roll dice in Candyland or just draw cards?
I'll post you a picture of the board just so that you can get it for reference, but you just draw cards that say, this is the color, and it takes you to that color.
Yeah, there's no difference between, say, that mechanic or rolling a dice.
Mm-hmm.
It's random chance with a deck of cards. So to say it's not a game because you don't make choices would be saying that, Yahtzee's not a game because you're not making choices, you're rolling dice.
Right. I think the only thing you could say is you do make at least a choice of what you're rolling for. Candyland...
Sure.
I mean, I'll give him this. Candyland has very, very minimal choice as far as games go. I basically just pick up a card, and I don't have a choice in what cards I'm picking up. So I really don't have any agency, but that is not to say that there aren't games that do that also take away player
it's literally just a game of chance at that point.
It's a complete game of chance, but that still makes it a game. It's still a game. The trappings of teaching children how to take turns. Okay, I understand what we're getting at, is the idea that it's just, it's a game for kids to get them used to how game mechanics work, and I can understand that. But now this is the part that I thought was really interesting as a resolution mechanic. And I guess what the idea is similar to like rolling dice, or, like flipping over a deck of cards or something like that. What if you could flip over cards that were like for Candyland, and what could you use that board to actually determine passes or fails or successes or something like that?
But again, if Candyland's not a game, then I don't think Candyland would make a good resolution mechanic. But I mean, you could absolutely use it. I don't see a reason to, though, when you have so many other better options than, say, an arbitrary color assignment to the cards on there.
I think the idea is if it's not a real game, at least it could be a mechanic for a game. But
sure, no, why? It's pointless. Just don't use it then. Don't touch it, put it on your shelf, and leave it there.
That's what most people did with Candyland. I guess that's something. But here is the one thing I could think of that might actually be an interesting resolution mechanic, is about something like initiative. Like, everybody starts at the very beginning of the board, right? And then every time you take a turn every time we get like a round to a turn. If this was like D&D, for instance, and every time we get to a turn, people flip over a card to begin with, and we see where everybody is in the line. There could be an interesting mechanic for that. And the other thing that I was thinking is there might be a way to utilize it. The first person who hits the end of that line, it benefits them in some way. Like that. Yeah. That's
as an initiative
almost
tracker,
like a race. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be neat as an initiative tracker.
Yeah.
Because then you could have a visualization of, here, you are an initiative order this turn. And then after everyone's gone, you each draw a new card. If you're trying to do like each turn you roll new initiative.
Yeah.
Then maybe you do it that way. But that would, for D&D for instance, that would negate your initiative stat completely.
It would have to be there in place of that. So then the other question is if you're actually using like a race mechanic where you actually have to get to the end. And so every time you take like an action, it could be to move, and you would pick up a card to move. And then the first person who actually reaches the end of the course would essentially win the race.
Yeah, but then it takes what should be skill and, like, based on...
Turns into chance.
Your ability to complete chance.
So basically what we're saying is that whatever you utilize this for is going to introduce more chance into the situation than it previously had.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because
I would rather... Yeah. If you were going to replace a resolution mechanic or use another game as a mechanic... for resolution, I would say just use a deck of cards at that point.
Seems like an easier solution, and something that people would have readily available.
Yeah, you pretty much always have one nearby. And then it's got 4 suits from 2 to 10, Jack, King, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. And then you got jokers in there if you want to have those do anything special, like crit fails. But you could essentially just have it from 1 to 10, then 11, 12, and 13, and then Ace could be either 1 or 14, for instance.
And I want to say that there's already some TTRPGs that actually use a deck of cards.
Oh, probably.
Wasn't it Deadlands? It's the one that's kind of like the Weird West sort of thing. I think Deadlands is the one. Okay. But I think it uses a deck of cards as its main resolution mechanic.
Sure, it's probably a really easy thing to work into a game.
Oh, sure. You can use it for, if you're doing that for initiative order, you could use it for that easily enough. You could just as easily say, like, if you want to do a successful hit or something, you could pick up a card and just arrange it so that, like, whatever the card is, if it hits over the number it needs to hit or under, it determines if you hit. Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting using a deck of cards in a banking system.
Oh, okay.
So you can draw a card and then you can be like, I'm going to bank this for later.
Oh, sure. And you can have so many cards banked for, like,
later. So you could have, like, maybe each player could have, like, 3 cards banked or something like that. And then... it becomes, all right, well, you can either draw and use a card, draw, bank a card, or you can use a card.
Right. And, I suppose you could do something similar to Candyland, but it does feel like a deck of cards provides more options for you than that. Because these are just going to have your colors. How many colors are in this thing? Is it 6? There's 6 colors. In a deck of cards, standard old 52, you have... 2 different colors for suits, and then you have 13.
Well, it's 2 to 10, then 3 face cards.
2 to 10, 3 face cards, and the ace.
Yep. So it's 13.
13, yeah. That's right. Yep. I had to think about that. 52. I could have just said 52, divide by 4, you'd get your...
Oh, I can't do math that fast.
Anyway, 13. So you you have 13 different cards in each one of those suits. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can actually cut this in order to make this work. It was such an interesting thing, the idea of using a whole other board game as a resolution mechanic for something, and I was like, how do we come up with this as a concept? It's like assuming that I'm going to go back and, like, use the game of life as a resolution mechanic for another game.
Yeah. It's also like, we're not in the habit here of giving whoever owns Candyland more money. Whether it be Hasbro or Milton Bradley, I don't know.
Remember. But anyway, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Whoever it is, yeah. The only thing I can think of, though, is if Candyland is actually owned by Hasbro, that would at least make sense if they wanted to use it for a Dungeons and Dragons, because it's synergy for the products.
Yeah, because at least then they're making use of a product they already own for the one that they've just gotten rid of a ton of their staff on.
You know what you... Yeah, exactly. We got rid of the staff so that we could introduce Candyland as the new mechanic for the thing. You're just using the old properties. Put that stuff in there. They could use Candyland for Magic the Gathering.
Perfect.
Just have the color cards be the resolution mechanics for that. Perfect. Mana pools. How do I determine how much mana I have? Flip the cards over, see how many spaces you go for. Your mana pool just keeps increasing. That works. Yeah. Who needs staff on these when we can just use our old board games in order to
pretty much
resolve this? Anyway. Any other kinds of old school games that you used to play that you could try to shoehorn into a resolution mechanic? Like, what did you play when you were but a smallin'?
Like for
board games.
I mean, you could always do classics like a War.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you do Go Fish resolution mechanics.
Go Fish. That would be a good one.
But then you're just playing another game while you're trying to play another game.
I want the one where you try to get the hook into the little fish's mouths. Do you remember
there you
that?
go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to catch so many fish. Then I'm just playing Stardew Valley at that point. It's just the fishing competition. That or Hungry Hungry Hippos. That's how we choose initiative order. How many things can the hippos get?
See, all of those though, everything like that would be just a detraction from the other game you're trying to play at that point. I don't know. I
know a fighting mechanic we can utilize. Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots, yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
There you go.
This is how we determine fights.
This is how combat goes. Alright, you are red, I am blue. Whoever knocks the other one out first wins combat, the other person's dead.
Yeah.
Dies.
This is how we determine. Then we determine damage afterward. But you know, we don't have to worry about like rolling to hit. We literally do Rock'em Sock'em Robots and determine who's going to hit.
Yeah, it's no longer roll to hit. It's Rock'em to Sock'em.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy. You're the defender. I'm the attacker. Let's go.
You know what? Even better idea. What are those? Not Hulk hands, but the ones that you get the big sock'em boppers?
Yeah.
We're just gonna use those.
Great.
Combat is real these days.
Combat is real. We're gonna go to the Fallout universe and just use the power fist.
We're just gonna do a boxing match as a resolution mechanic these days.
Yeah. How do we resolve combat in Dungeons and Dragons? Get in the ring.
Yeah.
Get in the
Same
ring.
way politicians should resolve things.
So if anyone else has some ideas about how to use Candyland outside of actually playing it, because who wants to do that? I guess you can tell us. But I'm more curious about what other games might actually be utilized for some kind of mechanic.
Let us know. Do you think you should use other games as resolution mechanics for another game you're playing? Or is that just silly and you should just use easier to use resolution mechanics and pulling out a whole nother game to do it?
Is this just gameception?
Yes.
Then I have to use a resolution mechanic to resolve the other game that I've used for the other game that I've used for the other game. Yeah.
We're gonna combine games together. So you're playing Jenga, but between the blocks of the tower are cards. And the cards correspond to dice, and the dice correspond to which Yu-Gi-Oh cards you can play.
And then you pull the trap card and the whole Jenga tower falls down. Perfect. We're gonna make this game. It's all about the cones. Anyway. You forgot it's about the cones. Okay. Let us know in the comments down below about something related to this topic. Let us know in the comments down below.